allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Eternal Father, we come before you this day with grateful hearts for all the blessings you have bestowed upon our nation and upon our people. We ask you to bless and protect our nation. We also come with grateful hearts for the men and women of Connecticut who have served our nation from its beginning. They helped to establish this nation. They helped to bind up the wounds of division. They have gone forth from these shores to help bring the message of hope and freedom to people around the world. We pray also for the families of our service members who have stayed at home and have prayed and have worried and have loved and supported the men and women who have gone forth in our name. We ask blessings upon those who have given the ultimate sacrifice, who have given their lives in service to our nation. We ask you to bless them and welcome them into your eternal home. We ask you to heal the broken-hearted. We ask you to lift up those who are bowed down. We ask you to bring healing to those who have suffered body, mind, and spirit in service to our people, your people. We ask you to be here with us today and help us to express our gratitude for the gifts that you have given to us through the men and women who have served us so faithfully and courageously. We ask this in your name, for you are holy, our Father and God. Amen.
We now have the pleasure of Casey Flax, who will sing or lead us in the national anthem. Come on up.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red clear, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Please be seated. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Heather Summers, and I am the senator from the 18th District. Thank you all for being here today. We are here today to honor Connecticut veterans who have given selflessly to our great nation and to our great state. And I thought about what Abraham Lincoln said when he spoke to the 164th Ohio Regiment in 1864. And what he said was, quote, "I am greatly obliged to you and to all who have come forward in the call of their country," end quote. I want to say thank you to all of the veterans gathered here today. We are grateful for your service. We are grateful for the sacrifice that you and your families have made, and we are united in our unwavering admiration. Today's ceremony is about respect. It's also about remembrance, and it's about celebrating and supporting our veterans because they're heroes, because they have sacrificed, and their families have sacrificed, and because they have protected and defended the principles that we hold dear, the principles of liberty, of freedom, and of justice, the principles on which our great nation was founded. Since the Revolutionary War, our nation's bravest have answered the call to defend our freedoms and allow democracy to stand tall and proud in our history books. Since Bunker Hill, nearly 50 million men and women have donned the United States uniform, and we are here to celebrate them and to celebrate you today. It's been an honor to speak with some of you coming in, to speak with your families. We hope that we'll have time to hear your stories afterwards. And to be with you in this setting today is truly humbling for many of us sitting on this stage. We admire your courage, and we want to make sure you understand you have our most sincere gratitude, and we thank you. You are all sterling examples of great Americans and great Connecticut citizens who are most deserving of the Connecticut Wartime Service Medal. So now I'm going to ask Representative Delacruz and Conley to come and say a few words.
Thank you, Senator Summers. And first of all, thank you to all the veterans and the families that are here today. I got to tell you, win an election doesn't seem like it should even give me the right to address veterans. We know what you do every day. I wasn't in the service myself, but my father and grandfather both served, and I know the importance of what they did. And I also know that this community, being surrounded by all the military that we have, has always shown the respect that veterans should be shown. And I was glad to be part of this. When we first talked about making this possible today, some of the you guys were notified by letter, and I got some phone calls, and 2 or 3 of the phone calls were first out of concern that they didn't want to be recognized, that they didn't want to be up on stage and be shown the respect that they should get, and the reason was because they said the budget was just disarray, and they didn't want to negatively affect or impact school children or police or anything else. That's how you veterans feel. I was completely humbled speaking on the phone with the gentleman. He was adamant that this isn't something that he or any of the other veterans would want if it took away from someone else. I had to remind him that in this great country, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We absolutely can never, ever forget our veterans. It can't happen. Sir, I'll tell you in this crowd today that as long as I am around, as long as any of us on the stage are here or in this room, we will never forget the sacrifices that you've done for us. We see it day in and day out with new veterans coming back home, struggling with mental illness and all the other effects that come back from wartime. We understand your plight. We are with you. And please, I'd love to thank you for the words that you said on the phone for me that day. I won't call you out because I know how you feel. You didn't want to be recognized, and we just could not do that. So I just hope you know what you really mean to us as veterans. This isn't just hollow words or a politician up here talking. Everything that you've done for us, I respect and I appreciate, and thank you for everything you've done, and I'm so thankful that we're able to be here today and celebrate you today. This is your day. Thank you for even making this day possible for us. Thank you.
Wow, that was a big follow-up. Joe, Stu? I'm not sure how to follow up Joe on that, but I'll do my best. Again, this is nothing. We are honored. I'm sure all 3 of us are honored to currently be holding these seats, which allow us to thank you. Just as you for many years, served for the country. Our service is a little bit different for a period of 2 years at a time. But we thank all of you for coming. I've talked to folks from World War II, and we've had some very young folks here who are veterans. We appreciate you and everything that you've done, the fighting that you've done for our country in wartime across the globe. I know that people have come back with physical scars and mental scars, and while we do our best here in the state of Connecticut to help, we know that you deserve to be honored and your families deserve to be honored for all that you've been through, risking your lives for service for those of us who were home. I know there's many spouses and children here. I thank you for bringing your loved ones with us today and for getting awards on behalf of those who couldn't be here today. While someone was away overseas, you guys were serving at home, either as the children or as the spouses, making sure that everything was okay on the home front so that your service member could focus on their duties abroad. This is a small thing Connecticut can do to thank those who were residents of Connecticut who did serve in wartime. So again, we appreciate your service, and we hope that we don't have to give too many more medals of these out, because we hope that we don't have very many more wartime veterans. But we know with great organizations like the Sub-Vets that as people come back, that there are many people home helping them heal those physical and mental wounds. So we thank you guys today for your service, and we'll be there for as many veterans as we need to be. And I hope everyone enjoys your afternoon. Thank you.
Yeah, so now I have the honor of introducing the commissioner for the veterans. His name is Thomas Said. He was confirmed by the Connecticut General Assembly as the commissioner of the Department of Veterans Affairs just this February. Commissioner Said, am I saying that? SAADI. I call him Said, it's SAADI. Had previously served as the Chief of Staff and General Counsel for the department. Commissioner SAADI is a major in the U.S. Army Reserve. And prior to beginning his service at the Department of Veterans Affairs in 2015, Commissioner SAADI served as the Assistant Attorney General and Special Prosecutor. Commissioner SAADI is a graduate of Western Connecticut State University and received his Juris Doctor from Quinnipiac College School of Law. He is a member of the American Legion Post 60 in Danbury, a Catholic War Veterans Post 1042 in Danbury, and the 4th JAG Officers Association, and is a life member of the Reserve Officers Association. Commissioner SAADI lives in Danbury with his wife Valerie and their twin children Sabrina and Jacob. And if you could join with me and welcome the commissioner.
Thank you, Senator Summers, for the introduction. Reverend Father, he left. Well, I want to thank Reverend Father for being here, Representatives Conley and Dela Cruz, and most importantly, all the veterans that are here today, for allowing me the opportunity to participate in this special ceremony, honoring our wartime service veterans. I also want to recognize the Patriot Guard Riders. For those of you who don't know them, they travel across the state supporting ceremonies like this, recognizing our living veterans, and are always there at our state veterans cemetery and across the state to memorialize those who have passed. It's an honor for me to serve as a commissioner of Veterans Affairs for the state of Connecticut, because I have the privilege of leading an agency with the mission of serving those who have served. And it is those four simple words, with those four simple words comes an awesome responsibility, as it is only because of those who served and those who continue to serve in uniform in our armed forces that we are able to gather as Americans in a free and democratic nation, where we can worship as we choose, speak our minds, support or oppose government policies and politicians without fear of oppression. And since June 14, 1777, those stars and stripes have officially stood for our nation. As Father said, a nation created by and sustained by the men and women in our armed forces, past and present. Something we all collectively must ensure that this nation never forgets. Unfortunately, however, this nation has at times failed to take up the mantle of supporting our veterans and their families. As the Senator has said, and others have said, families serve along with their veterans and with those currently in the armed forces. This was especially the case for our Vietnam veterans, who unjustly had to endure the insults and the attacks of protesters and politicians and an apathetic public. But as Americans, we must remember that it is not the veteran who starts a war. It's not the veteran who decided national policy and how that war should be conducted. It's not the veteran who's sitting at the negotiating table to end that war. But it is the veteran who fought, the veteran who struggled, the veteran who suffered injuries, and many of whom did not return. They did so because no matter their political beliefs or personal feelings, they answer to a higher calling: duty, honor, and country. So to those Vietnam veterans who are here today, if you can, I ask you to please stand so that we may thank you for not losing faith in the American people, who now thank you and welcome you home. Thank you for your service. However, thanking, remembering, and memorializing our veterans and service members is not enough. What I mean by that is, from the national to the state and local level, we must do more as a society to establish and sustain and preserve programs for our veterans, for the members of our armed forces currently serving and their families. As a nation, we must look more deeply to the changing needs of our current veterans and to what we need to do to serve those who will return in future generations. Those who return with the visible wounds of war, those with the invisible wounds, those who are struggling with the transition to civilian life, or those who are struggling to reconnect with those family members who many times, for many months, if not years, have not seen them. So our society's words of support must be matched with acts of support. And I know from the comments I've heard here today and the records of your officials up here that in Connecticut we will continue to match our words of support with acts of support for those who have served so that we may continue to live free. To all of you who served, whether you're receiving the Wartime Service Medal or not today, no matter your branch, whether you served in peacetime or in war, domestically or abroad, you raised that right hand. You took an oath to protect and defend this nation. But not only that, many of you protected and defended millions of people across the globe collectively, saving them from tyranny and oppression. To all our veterans here, I thank you for your service to our nation, for your service many times after you returned and hung up that uniform. Because for those of you who may not know, veterans serve in a higher proportion in public safety, in public life, volunteer with civic organizations, and stand up to help their brother and sister veterans in a higher number than any other category of people in our society. You are all here today because you understand the meaning of service to country and community, and because you know it is our collective moral duty to serve those who served and recognize that service. That is why I'm very humble and proud to join with you in honoring those veterans who received the Wartime Service Medal today, who protected this nation and those millions across the globe. I want to thank the dedicated members of my staff and acknowledge the presence here of a wartime veteran, Captain Ryan McKenna, a veteran OAF and OIF, who is my Director of Advocacy and Assistance, who's worked with Senator Somers and the other legislative staffers in making this event possible. I thank you for the opportunity to speak here. May God bless our veterans in this audience, our veterans across the state of Connecticut and our nation, and all the members of our armed forces. Bring them home safely, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Well, congratulations to all the medal recipients. And as Memorial Day draws near this week, we thought it was fitting that we honor our wartime heroes this week. Irrespective of the place or the battle that you fought, the pureness of your sacrifice for all of us is without question. We want to stand here today in full acknowledgement that the young men and the young women who lost their lives to afford us the opportunity to gather and honor our veterans. No matter what gender, what race, what background you come from, we believe that your sacrifices are equal and united in the belief that America is a nation worth fighting for, a nation worth sacrificing for, and we stand here today to thank you. When we look at the veterans in this audience, we see warriors. You have been warriors for freedom, warriors for liberty, and you have been warriors defending each one of us so that we can live our lives and raise our families in the greatest country on earth. You have made huge sacrifices, and so has your family. Today, to all the award recipients, we say, God bless you. God bless all of the veterans, all of our families, and God bless America. Thank you for attending the ceremony today. We would like to acknowledge that we have a Boy Scout troop that has been willing to help seat people and direct people. And also, we are thankful to the Big Y Market in Groton, who has generously donated some refreshments out in the hallway. So if you would like to stay around and have a cupcake or 4, please do, because there's about 500 cupcakes, and some water and a little fellowship. We would love to chat with you after. So again, thank you very much for being with us today, and we are honored to be in your presence.